I think being in a setting where you're with other people that are like in the same mindset is what is the key. If you just change your reference with who you're with, that is what gets you to your goal. So you have to surround yourself with people that are just, whatever they are, they're doing the best of it and they're continuously trying to achieve more. Yeah. And it's just, it's like a high. I think it's like an energy that just goes through.
It rubs off.
Hi, baby, hop in the Lamborghini. I'm needy, on me only, I'm needy. Hi, baby, hop in the Lamborghini.
Left for a minute, I did not sweat it. Look at the cash I'm spending. There it goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stroke of Success podcast. I'm your host, KB. We're back in the studio. So today is it's a well-packed show. We have multiple type of guests here today. Before we get in with the main guest, I'm going to get in with my main chick, my baby mama, my wife, who has been in my journey of life for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. 20 years next year, by the way. My business partner, my coach, my boss, I work for her half the time. So with that being said, welcome, Saima, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so proud of what you've done. This was all just an idea in your head. You put it all together, and now it's just taken over. It has its own life, and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I'm excited.
That means a lot. We got a tear coming down.
How are we supposed to follow that?
Quickly, it was her months ago say, you know what, don't overthink it. Just do it in your office and just get over it. And shout out to my brother-in-law, her brother, Billy, for coming up with the name. So, Billy, we love you. Okay, what's the main guest? So the main guest, 2021 summer, my brother-in-law, Billy, again, Billy's getting a lot of shout-outs today. Billy was coming to town, and he goes, listen, let's get some nice cars. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Simon comes up to me, hey, babe, this our neighbor have nice cars, and they're renting them out. I'm like,
did I know that they were our neighbors? I don't think, did I know that?
You know that? Maybe you did. Maybe
I knew you guys were in Lake Nona, but I had no idea.
We saw the car
where.
driving. I mean, the green Lambo is all over town, right? So like, maybe they're our neighbors.
Yeah.
I called Mary before I get into it, and she was busy, and she's like, hey, okay. And we just got into a little conversation. Then I got to know Randy, and I started following them on social media. And for the record, for my audience, I rented a Lambo and a Benz, the yellow Benz. And to this day, people would text me, comment my social media, ask me about these amazing cars. And I started digging more and more and more. We learned that we have a lot in common. 2 beautiful daughters they have, same as us. They're our neighbor, literally 7 minutes away from where we live. Also a couple that are into entrepreneurship. With that being said, and the company that they have is called How Motors. So with that being said, Randy and Mary Vasquez, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hey,
Thank you for having us, guys.
Really means a lot to me. I know we've been talking about this for a little bit.
You have.
Right? You guys are busy traveling the world, jumping exotic sports cars, right?
Hustling hard.
Yes.
Hustling
really hard. You guys make it sound so fabulous.
It's actually really hard. I mean,
It's really crazy.
It's really nuts. You saw our faces when we walked in today. It's been a crazy day.
And that's one thing many things that we admire about you both. But the fact that you guys are in amazing shape. You guys, we were at your house this past weekend, and the house is beautiful. Everything.
You're raising a beautiful family.
Beautiful family,
right?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot of work too.
That's a lot of work.
A lot of work. Yeah, that doesn't stop. You don't get any
like
days
2
off
full-time
from raising
jobs.
kids.
No.
With that being said, I think there's a lot of craziness behind the scenes.
There is a lot of crazy
Right?
behind the scenes.
There
Well,
is.
it looks pretty from the front or outside. It's a little bit crazy in the behind the scenes.
It's a lot of chaos.
Let's get started. So we'll start with Randy from you. So where were you born and raised?
I was born in Manhattan. I was raised in multiple places. When I was 6 months or so, we moved to Dominican Republic, spent 6 years there. And after that, we moved back, and I moved to New Jersey. So I was raised in, I like to say Hudson County, because I was raised in multiple cities. We moved around quite a bit, went to elementary school in one, went to high school in another, went to college in another. So Hudson County, New Jersey is where I was raised.
Why'd you move around that much?
Finding better, cheaper rent.
Okay.
a lot of times, right? Getting kicked out of places, rent went up, so we had to find a situation where my parents could afford it. So we moved a couple times, and then I went to school at a different high school in a different city. I was an athlete growing up, and my uncle was actually the coach for the football team, and he wanted me to play for him. So I ended up going to a different city to end up playing there with him.
So parents were not ultra rich, wealthy people.
No.
You
no.
don't give a golden spoon in your mouth.
No, listen, just to tell you how that was, my father has a 4th grade education. My mother has a 2nd grade education. They came to this country. My dad was 17, eventually brought my mom 3 years later from Dominican Republic here. My father, cab driver, blue collar, anything that would make money. I mean, my father can build you a house because he could do plumbing, electricity.
Everything.
Whatever would pay him, he would do, and he
Yeah.
figured it out. And my mom has always been a factory worker. Shout out to Kenneth Cole.
amazing.
Many years there, and she cleaned hotel rooms, motel rooms, homes, whatever they can do to figure out to pay rent and put food on the
Hard
table.
workers.
Hard workers.
Wow.
Hard workers. Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, we met his parents.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
loving.
I
so
love
loving.
your
so
mom
kind.
and your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your mom, man. Like
Your
I'm like,
mom's
adopt
just
me.
like
Yeah.
literally.
She's a professional mom.
She just hugged us, and she just like we took her in. We're
Yeah.
like
You're
grandma.
family. You're
So-
and,
family.
our daughters, I mean, they don't go to many people, but they just feel like,
No,
oh, this is
it was
grandma.
so
Like,
sweet.
They
Yeah.
open it up to her.
That's exactly how our culture is too.
Yes, very
like grandma
similar.
takes over, and she's just like, "Come to me, baby."
And that's,
Yeah, that's
and
what it
that's
is.
it. She's amazing. She loves you, Mary.
She does.
She loves you, and we were having a side chat over there. Before I come back to you, Randy, so Mary, what's your story?
So I was born in Dominican Republic, and I moved to New York when I was 7.
Okay.
I left my mom there. To come from the Dominican Republic is a different process. So you have to petition, go to the embassy and the consulate, and it can take a few years to get in the country. So my dad petitioned me. My documents arrived much earlier than my mom's. My mom's arrived 10 years later. Yeah, so I lived with my grandmothers in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, which is downtown near
Yes.
the financial district area. And I lived there until I was a teenager, and then I transitioned to New Jersey. And that's where I lived most of my adult life. That's where my roots are.
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey.
So, the funny thing is, you're from Miami. I'll get to you back in you after them.
You're gonna
Your-
introduce me to. That's
your,
the way.
your history. But in New York, New Jersey, and she knows my story, I was raised by my grandmother. That's a very common denominator in up Northeast. The grandmother raising the kids. Mm-hmm. Especially the immigrants, right? The
Yeah.
immigrants from out of the country. Cool. All right. So you went to New Jersey.
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
When did your mom come from Dominican?
She came in year 2000.
So
So
how
I was
year?
14 going on 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this whole time you've been separated from her.
Yeah, I saw her probably 3-4 times within a 7-year span. And back then we would use like calling cards, like
Scratch offs.
boss
Yeah.
number,
Yes,
like
we did
$2
too.
Yeah,
calling cards.
yeah.
We
and
did
we
It was
would
really
call.
hard. Yeah.
And then it's like, we didn't have iPhones, so it's like I would call the house, and if she was home,
Picked up.
great.
If not,
Yeah, then I'll wait until the following weekend to go, because we couldn't call from the house because we had like a rotary phone. We had to go to like a calling center with. Yeah, it was complicated.
With a calling card.
Yeah.
did you have them in Miami? There was centers in New York and New Jersey you go to.
yeah.
Yeah.
You put the money in. You have
And you could call, yeah.
Yeah, you get like a little house number, like a little.
We're
phone
dating
number.
ourselves.
There's
guys.
so
We're
many
dating.
immigrants.
Yeah.
Korea,
Yeah.
Dominican, South America,
Yeah.
Pakistan, India, there's Saudi Arabia, Europe.
Very
Yeah.
diverse, yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
have any siblings?
I do. I have 4 half brothers.
Okay. So they moved with you.
No, they were born in different stages of my life.
Got it.
Again, the key word is half brothers.
Got it.
I am the only one of my mom and my dad's marriage. My dad had 2 sons. Wait, what? 3. 3 sons on one side, and my mom has another son. So they're all younger than me.
So how was that to be without a mom? You think how did it affect?
It's a very tender age, right?
Yeah. So from the ages of 7 to 14, I really think that they're very important forming years. And now that I look back, my daughter is now turning 8. So this is like the beginning of that time where I wasn't with my mom. And I see how now through the lens of my own daughter, I see
Yeah.
how valuable that time must have been. I can't tell you because I didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
But those are the years, when we talk about your body's changing and you're kind of like forming and shaping into the person that you're going to be, your personality, your tendencies,
Many
your
questions come
your
up too.
talents,
Yeah.
kind of like flourish through. At that time, the way that I dealt with that separation, I journaled every day. And in a matter of like 5 years, I didn't start journaling at 7. I started journaling after Anne Frank when I was like a 4th grader, I think, or something. And I completed 37 composition notebooks of all journaling.
Oh my God.
And it was all like anecdotes for my mom of like current events. I would it was kind of like scrapbooking.
Like
So
you're
I would-
writing to her.
Yeah.
kind of thing?
And I would
Okay.
do like little countdowns. Like if I was going to see her in July and it was like January, I would do like 211 days till.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Do you still have them?
It was very nostalgic. No, that's another story. No, but it's okay. It was a way that I coped, and writing is something that's very special to me. I do have a copywriting business with my business partner Vanessa, but it's more like a hobby to me because it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I think it's because I have a sentimental connection.
Of course.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's been tough.
Man, I didn't know that about you. Okay. Rennie, so football in high school.
Football in high school.
All right. Uncle's a coach. If I go close my eyes, I go back and say a young Randy, the stud that he is now, back in high school. And I would
Little
think
shrimp.
maybe have a Yankee cap on. I don't know.
Always.
Right?
Yep.
The
Having
Jays.
In high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Jays, maybe.
Yep.
You're very popular with the ladies.
Yeah.
There you go.
I won't say
I'm
too
spot
much
on.
about that in front of my wife, but yeah.
Spot on. Spot on. See? I know.
And he's got 2 daughters.
That's why I got 2
That's
daughters.
He was like all over the yearbook every year.
In high school, what was your plan to do when you get older?
That's a good question. I think I went through a transformation while I was in high school. My uncle was an amazing role model, but at the same time, tough love.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of traumas that I got from that because I wasn't able to mess up, right? Like I had to be perfect in everything that I did, right? So a lot of that kind of transformed me. I'm going through my teenage years, finding myself, hormones, right? Everything's kind of developing. And I think when I first went into high school, I thought, I'm going to be a professional athlete. But then I hit that stage of puberty and I stopped growing. Everybody else kept growing. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe that's not going to work out for me. But then I started to figure out, okay, well, what is it that I want to do with my life? And I didn't have all the answers. So I think I went through this transformation period, like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with my life. I thought I wanted to be a guidance counselor. I thought I wanted to be a social worker. I thought, like, what do I do now at this point once I started turning like 17, 18? So I really didn't have a plan. I had no idea where I was going. I was just kind of going with the flow of what I needed to figure out for myself. I knew that being an athlete was going to be short-lived, so I had to figure out another plan at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. No idea, basically.
No idea.
No idea.
And how many brothers do you have?
2 brothers.
Were they very much focused with their future?
We're years apart. So my oldest is 12 years. The oldest brother I have 12 years older. The other one's 5. They were living their own lives at that
They're
point.
out.
Yeah. So the older one, being so much older than me, he was already out the house. He was in the Marines. He figured out his life. And then the other one was in college and school trying to figure out his thing. So there was like a big separation there. And we were raised in the
Staggered,
same,
kind of,
yeah,
like-
but staggered.
Yeah.
Right? And we had different types of lives at that point when we
Right.
were being raised.
I feel like when your kids are closer in age, it's like you're raising them together, and so they're doing more things together, right? When you have like a 12-year age gap, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty big.
it's a pretty big.
It's hard to connect with a
It's a
sibling like
different
that. though.
generation.
It's a different
Yeah,
generation.
totally. Yeah.
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 With the mic on you, why don't you jump in your backstory a little bit? Where are you from?
Miami, Florida.
That's right.
Born and raised. I was actually born at Jackson Memorial Hospital, which is like in the heart of Miami. And my parents are from Pakistan, just like yours. So we grew up very multicultural. We had, obviously at home, everything was very Pakistani and Muslim. But then I went to school, and in school, We had a very big Hispanic population. There was, a lot of Cubans in Miami. So I got exposed to all of that. Most of my friends were Cuban, like growing up. And so I've been to, quinceañeras and, all of that stuff. I've been a part of it. So with that, we were in Miami most of our lives. We just moved to Orlando 3 years ago.
How were you in high school, junior high school? Were you studious? Were you a party girl?
I was very studious. So I was very focused into my studies and very goal oriented. Didn't really party much. I wanted to just keep my parents happy. They were immigrants. They were working so hard. We were just trying to figure out life in this new country together. And, I had a younger brother. My parents were very focused into raising him too. So I just wanted to kind of make things easy for them and do the best that I can. So I don't think I really gave them much problems growing up. Yeah.
So younger brother and older sister who's back and forth from Pakistan in here.
Correct.
Right? And and Billy, younger brother again.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
Yes. Very humble beginnings. My parents, their biggest thing was education, especially my mom's like, you have to be educated and you have to do well in school. That was like one of our biggest things. There was no other outlook for life. Like if we wanted to prosper in any way, we would have to be educated.
Interesting to say her mother comes from like her father was like a very successful entrepreneur in Pakistan. And all her uncles, my mother-in-law's brothers, are entrepreneurs. And it's interesting, when I met her the first time, she told me, like, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, but she said, for me, it's really important to get education, and something she's really, till this day, stands by.
Yeah.
I
mean, now I think I've learned so much. I feel like, yes, education is important and a key, but it's definitely not the end all be all. Like, there's so many more parts that you need in life, right? Yeah. You have to have those skills. Like you obviously want a family and you want to know like how to talk to people and socialize and all those other aspects, not just being like a bookworm and just, learning and studying. Cause I've met so many people in my life that I'm like, you're so smart, but I can't have a conversation with you. And I'm like, I can't, it's not gonna happen.
Social skills.
Yeah.
That's true. Mary, so how about you? Like, what was your junior high school, like, what's your plan when you're going to get older? What are you going to do?
So I transitioned from New York to New Jersey like halfway through my freshman year. I was always in advanced placement classes, AP. And that was a big deal in New York. I would win awards, newspaper, like poster girl for all sorts of clubs, literacy, etc. I moved to New Jersey and I lived in an area near Princeton University, and apparently the school system was really good there. And I basically almost failed the last 2 semesters after my transition to New Jersey because everything was that much more advanced, and whatever I was learning in New York must have lacked.
Yeah.
So they tried to mimic the same schedule that I did, and I struggled my freshman year. I hated myself because for the first time as a student, I was like passing by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
I was doing good in English and like social studies and things like that, but the sciences and mathematics were like a no-go for me. And then shortly after, I realized that I just hated my life where I was. It was just such a big culture shock coming from like the capital of the world to a very rural, small community. And I accelerated my high school career. I didn't participate in any extracurricular clubs. I literally did high school in 2.5 years, I think. I skipped my junior year, so I did barely freshman because I almost failed. But I did sophomore, and then I took summer classes, and I took all my fundamentals, and I skipped to my senior year.
Oh my
so
God.
If you look back at my yearbooks, there's like my real yearbook for what would have been my junior year.
Yeah.
I'm photographed, and then I'm also photographed as a senior
Graduating,
which is kind of confusing
That's
and
funny.
kind of
so
exciting.
you must have graduated when you were like 16 or something.
My birthday's in May, so
Yeah.
I turned 17, and then
Your graduation was in June, probably.
in June.
Yeah.
Like 23 days later.
So
Yeah.
be a little bit more honest.
With what?
Mary from the Lower East Side, humble beginnings, not a lot that they had. And then she moves to Central Jersey, where right next to Princeton, this town where kids were driving BMWs to school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right, so it was
Yeah,
a different thing, and it was a cultural shock from a diversity
sure.
perspective as well
Yeah.
for her. So don't leave that part out, because
Well,
Yeah.
that is true, because for the first time, I guess I had experience being different and some kind of like indirect racism. Children are mean, but sometimes kids in high school, they're not mean like they would be in middle school.
Yeah.
It's just that I was kind of like a transplant from somewhere else. And these people grew up together in that town, you know, like, you know, you go to first grade all the way through high school. And suddenly I come in, I didn't know I spoke like Rosie Perez. And I remember
Sorry.
being in...
You know who Rosie Perez is? Okay.
No?
We'll Google
She's
that
an
later.
amazing actress. She's very strong.
He knew I wouldn't know. That's why he's asking that
Very strong
question.
New York accent.
She has an iconic New
She
York
was hot.
accent.
She was real. Oh.
Okay.
That's how I get there. Let's go back.
So then I
Rosie
would be, you know, among my peers, and they would like ask me to say something just so they can hear me talk. And I just didn't understand that, because in New York, everybody spoke like me.
Yeah.
And I spoke like everybody. I just didn't know I was different. And
Until you left. Until you
Yeah.
left
And then
you felt
I
it.
also grew up where I grew up near the project. So it's really like, you know, the minority groups and some small white population. But it was completely dominant of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and Blacks. And we were one and the same.
Yeah.
So going into a more opulent neighborhood where I'm literally at the bottom of the chain, you know, it was very different. And also the fact that, you know, I took the bus to school. I had my little lunch ticket. Everybody, like Randy said, drove Beamers to school. And I was like, what? They would like cut school, go to the mall, go shop, come back. I'm like, excuse me, what is this, a mall? Like,
How do you get there?
yeah.
We don't have projects in South Florida. Carol City is not a project. It's a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
So
I
projects are
wasn't-
that's a very common thing up in Northeast, right?
Yeah. It wasn't really like I didn't live in a city. Like I lived on the outskirts,
You're a
right?
suburb, right? What I'm explaining to her story there, the projects are interesting. It was just where Biggie Smalls rappers come from, 50 Cent. And she's so right. The laundry mats on the street. It's a different mindset. I could just imagine, you know, like for you, your dad dropped you off school.
Yes.
Okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was it's the school that was in our neighborhood.
Either
Kind of like
you-
our kids' school,
Either
you know?
you take a public transportation,
Or you walk.
Yeah.
or you walk, or if you're rich, you have a BMW.
Yeah.
See, it's very easy to identify if you're coming from a lower like a socioeconomic up in the Northeast, especially in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different time. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after high school?
So after high school, so during my period of accelerating my studies, I wasn't even thinking about college. So because I was just like, I need to get done with high school. I need to like go to next level, but we weren't really thinking about what next level was.
Yeah.
So I think it was like February of the year that I was supposed to graduate, and I had not even submitted my first application. Turns out that when I started applying to Rutgers University, which was maybe 2 exits down from where I lived, it was already too late because they were already sending letters like March, April.
Yeah.
And I had like, 20 months of maybe valid education in their eyes because I had skipped. And even though I qualified to graduate, I didn't really have the complete package. I didn't participate in any community, extracurricular clubs, etc. And I just wasn't a very good candidate. So I ended up going to a less than favorite choice of a college. I went to Berkeley College. No shout out to them, just, just for reference sake. It's just the college. It wasn't community college. It was just a step above, very overpriced. But it got me away from being home. I just really wanted to I just wanted to leave.
Okay.
And that got me closer to up north. And
So you moved out at that time?
yeah, I
Okay.
dormed.
Oh, you
I
dormed.
dormed.
Okay.
And then that's where I met our good friend that we have in common, Victor, who was kind of a college friend. We didn't go to college together, but he was friends with some people that.
Victor, who we met the other day.
Yeah.
Victor, you met.
Yeah,
Victor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
guy, cool guy.
That's
Yeah.
so nice. So you guys have known each other for so long.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
College for you?
Yes, I went to college. Right when I was in the high school, I had a couple offers for, some half partial scholarships at different schools to play football. I went to visit those schools like on a college trip, recruiting trip, and it just wasn't for me. I didn't feel like I fit in or like I was gonna go that route. So I decided to go to a local which is, not community school, but commuter school. I mean, they had dorms, but it was like 300 people could dorm only. But they had over 15,000 students. So mostly people commuted. So I went to that school, Jersey City University, NJCU, which was good for me. And I ended up studying psychology there. Yep. So I did my 4 years there. Psychology, why? I didn't know what I wanted to do, but similar to your story, like my mom and dad were big on, you have to go to school, you have to go to school, you have to go to school. Education. So I was just like, you know what, let me make them happy and go to school. And I was like, what major will get me out of here sooner than others? And psychology had the less credits. And
what if they had told you to study like a certain thing?
They did.
Oh, they did?
What
did they want you to study?
In Dominican culture, at that time, I don't know if it's changed.
It's still the same.
It's still the same. You either had to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer.
Oh,
Very similar
That's
to ours.
Same thing.
what you had to do.
Same thing.
You had to either go to be a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. Like those are the only professions that exist.
Yeah.
So my mom constantly wanted me to be a doctor, and go that route. So I said, I'll study psychology. I'll be a doctor, but I knew that I didn't want to be there. I was never a good student. I never enjoyed school.
Yeah.
But that was good for me. Psychology actually opened up a new world for me.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I kind of just stumbled into it where I started to read a lot of, how the mind works, self-development, how people's actions, behaviors work. Yeah. And I think that's when I started getting interested in myself and my own development and like how I think and how I act. Yeah. And I started learning about myself through that journey. So actually, it kind of worked out.
It's a good investment.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Want to jump in? What do you
About myself?
Yeah.
God, I feel like I had such a boring I mean, I was like cookie cutter. Like I went through college. I was doing pre-med. I kind of knew from the beginning. I was like, my parents were really big about doctor too. And I was like, you know what? We'll see how it goes. Let's just do it. Let's see if I pass. Let's see what my grades are like. They didn't really put pressure on me. They were like, we think this is a good field for you, but hey, if you don't do it, it's okay. So I just went on, I did pre-med in undergrad. I majored in biology and, it's kind of a nerd, but I also met you in college. So
that worked out.
I was kind of having fun too.
That worked out.
So, we did that. And then I took the MCAT and then, I didn't necessarily do that great, but I'm a really hard worker. So I would sit there and I just devoted my entire summer and I would just study 11 hours a day, 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Like whatever it took, I would just sit there and I would just study and study. And I remember like everything, we were all on a budget all the time. So it's not like I could go out to eat. We would just take our lunches from home and I would be at the library. A lot of times he would be at the library with me. We would be hanging out.
That's cool.
But, I would take my lunch from home, pack my...
I used to buy you food.
You used to buy you food, right. But
Taco Bell.
I mean, not the food that we eat now, but okay.
It's not Eddie
So we were always on a budget, so I was just dedicated at that time. And I was like, I want to make something for myself. And I knew I wanted to be a mom and I know I wanted to have children. So I was like, this is the time to do it now. Just dedicate yourself now.
Were you dedicated? I remember. She was in the library 7 days a week at times, from like morning to night, in the corner, and I knew it. I'm like, this is, she's gonna get somewhere with her goals, and you've been a big inspiration for me.
Yeah. Looking back, I do think I had a very sheltered life. Like, I had friends that were doing what I were doing, but I didn't have any other friends, So I didn't know what it felt like to be on the other side until I got older. And honestly, it's my husband. My husband has really pushed my thoughts. Like he has made me believe and see so many other different lights that I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know this all existed.
Now you met Mary and you're in trouble.
I know we're like a good combo though.
Yeah. So. It's like danger zone. Yeah.
It was interesting. Like I always thought, I was the opposite. I was a decent student, but I never had a goal to be a doctor per se. I knew at a very, very young age, I wanted to be an actor, director, a creative individual with entrepreneurship. Like entrepreneurship was there for me from day one. My uncles, my mom, my parents got divorced. My uncle was very much involved in my life. And they're like, no, like you have to do, right? Yeah. And when I met her, she's like, no, you have to do degrees.
I was like, he would come up with the craziest ideas. I was like, what are you talking about? Like nobody does this.
No one does this, right?
It took me years to realize, wow, these are such amazing ideas. Like had I just kind of reinforced it, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We regret a lot of things.
I'm like,
and
if you would have just gone with your gut, like real estate, something like real estate.
I did real estate back then.
Yeah.
And then, I think with Sruki share, my mother-in-law said, listen, son, I like you, but there's no way I'm going to let you marry my daughter until you get a degree.
Yeah.
All right. So I got 2 degrees, and my story went on, and so I became a realtor again. And she's also a realtor now.
She's a realtor.
So we sell houses
Okay,
together. Shout out to my mother-in-law.
Now they do deals together, right?
Shout out
funny.
to
But I
Sahara
was
Fake.
like, yeah. I look back and I'm like,
amazing.
if you were a realtor back then, God knows how many properties we would have
imagine?
had by
dude,
now.
I would have. We wouldn't have even been. We would have been somewhere else.
Yeah.
But a journey. That's the whole part of the journey.
And really being open.
Yes.
I just love meeting people with different backgrounds now and be like, wow, you got from point A to point B so different,
Yeah.
than I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're so different.
Yeah.
And yet we share so many of the same emotions.
I saw the growth I seen in you in the last 6-7 years has been amazing, and you're very open now, which is fine. That's the time for you. That's the journey. That's your time to come to this point now.
Right.
Guys, how'd you guys meet?
That's a good one.
Randy tells a better story. He's
So
romantic.
we met twice, Mary and I. We met one time through our mutual friend. That's when we first met. Victor, who is a brother to me. He was hanging out in the same crew that Mary was hanging out with a couple of college people, and I was his best friend. And I had a girlfriend at that time. And he didn't have a girlfriend. So I used to tell him, like, dude, you don't have anybody that you know that you can just kind of come out and hang out. And
Like a double date
Like
type
a
of thing.
double date
Okay.
type thing. And then he was like,
Not a double date.
not a double date. And he was like, actually, I have a friend. She's really cool. And maybe I'll ask her if she just wants to come hang out. So he did ask Mary. She showed up. I get to meet Mary. And it was kind of like, well, she has a boyfriend. She had a boyfriend at that time.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend. She was hanging out with my girlfriend, right? Like we were together.
I was hanging out with his
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was kind of
Wait, how old are you guys?
Good question.
I don't know.
we were 20. I was 22, turning 23.
22,
Yeah.
23.
Okay.
22, 23.
Okay, so you're done with college. And
Yeah,
stuff.
I actually had just
Got a job?
no, I wasn't working yet. I was
Okay.
really broke. But I just gotten out of college trying to figure out life. And we were just hanging out. Like we'd go to clubs, we'll go to movies, bars, like
Yeah.
nothing. But I never even talked to her because it was just kind of like, well, that's Mary.
Yeah.
There's no point of me talking to her. I have a girlfriend and all this
Right.
stuff. So long story short, I would say 7-8 years later, I lose touch. I don't know anything about her. We never communicated. 7-8 years later, I'm working in New York City by Wall Street. She's working in New York City by Wall Street.
Wow.
Literally, I'm crossing the street, going to lunch with a coworker, and Mary's walking on the opposite side. And we kind of cross paths in the middle of the street.
No
in
way.
New York.
That's
And she
so
kind of
crazy.
she kind of looks at me. I look at her, and she's like, "Randy." I'm like, "Mary." And then she comes
Yeah.
over to me, to my side where I was walking, and, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, I work there. And one thing led to another. I was kind of not even seeing through it, and I was like, "Oh, that's great that you work there. We'll talk later," right?
Yeah.
Because I was with a coworker, and she.
How did she look? Did she look the same? Did she look different?
She looked different.
Yeah.
She had long hair.
Okay.
When I met her, she had short hair. But I can obviously tell that it was her, and
Yeah.
she still looked great.
Yeah.
And funny thing is that I was kind of not even paying attention. I'm like, well, we'll talk later. And she's like, how are we going to talk? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, take my number. Like, she was like, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me take your number. So I take her number. I go back to my office and I text her. And we start talking, and then we both lived in New Jersey. So we ended up commuting home together, and it was one thing led to another, and 4
You
weeks.
guys moved quick.
4 weeks.
That was that was a Tuesday. Saturday was our first date.
Saturday was our first date, and then
That was September 30th.
September 30th was our first date, and then 4 or 5, maybe 5 weeks later, we were living together already.
Oh,
Yeah, I would imagine we would
that is quick.
That's
Okay.
pretty fast.
Yeah. We hit all our milestones in 11 months.
Yeah, so we were quick
Amazing.
because what ended up happening is, right, I'm 28-ish at that point. My career was up to a point, so I'm working corporate. She's working corporate. My career was up to a point where I feel like, my next promotion is going to be the one. And I'm already thinking, I had bought an apartment. I'm I'm ready to settle down. And when I met Mary, it was just kind of like a perfect, like, all right, you're done with the crap that's out there. I'm done with the crap that's out there. Like,
Yeah.
we're trying to take our lives to the next journey. I told her, hey, listen, I want to get into real estate. I want to grow a business. I want to have a family. Like, if you're with that, then you're the person for me. Or if not, don't waste my time.
So your goals were already set at that time.
Yeah, we had already done, that's a podcast for you guys. We had already done the pre-work before the one. So we had already gone through our individual growth journey and we were happy where we were. And I feel that was the blessing.
Yeah.
That I had already gone through my own transformation and I was like happy and content where I was. I was seeking my better half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was seeking my
in
better
New
half.
York,
Yeah.
which I would have failed anyway.
And I
then
was doing the same.
Randy too. So we were kind of like on the same page. So
Yeah.
when we started having these long commutes, the commutes were like an hour and a half each
my
way. So we
God.
would talk for like 3 hours each way.
Yeah, pretty
So,
close.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
converted to like a gazillion dates in one.
Yeah.
We just really realized that we were like really in a really good space.
Yeah.
To kind of like start merging our lives together because he really was everything that I was asking for and more. And you know, I crushed his list.
Yeah, you
so,
did. You were perfect.
No, it was really and we were very candid with each other in terms of like we have nothing to lose here. And the fact that we had some rapport, you know, we have one significant person that we both know who is a very good friend to us both.
Yeah.
And the fact
And you guys
that,
are still friends. I mean, I know you're still friends. Yeah.
But we like, you know, I never like cared. So I was, oh, how's Randy doing? Like,
Yeah.
who cares about Randy? You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Until we met each other. So then once we identified as like, wait, you're single, I'm single. Like we both work here.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a lot of similarities and it became like a good match.
Right.
And we were like silly not to entertain it. And the minute that we kind of like synchronized, you know, the pages, it was
fit.
Yeah. And we were just
Off and running. Yeah.
off and running.
Quick.
Law of attraction.
You
Law of
think?
attraction.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Or manifestation.
Maybe.
You manifested it.
Yeah, manifested
Yeah.
it.
Randy, so I'll start with you. Did you have her as a list of things that you wanted in a woman?
Hands down. Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
For you, for a guy, was
Yeah.
he?
Yeah. He was like
I like that.
the last unicorn on earth for me. Yeah, because I was asking for like an impossible list. And especially in our culture, any guy that's like 28, 29 has already been engaged, possibly married already,
Has a
maybe
kid.
with a
Children.
kid.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, and if not, then there were a lot of things
Something's
that you
wrong
could
with
worry
him.
about.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, you know, yeah, just the complete opposite.
For
Yeah.
some context, you know, my friend John Cortez, he knows him too.
Yeah.
Young kids. He's a kid himself.
Oh my God. How old is he? Like 20?
28 now, maybe.
28, yeah. And
Right?
he's got,
Shout
like-
out to Johnny Cortez, boxing trainer for both of us.
Yeah.
He'll be here probably next week. Dominican and Puerto Ricans have, back in New York,
This
New
your
Jersey,
family is younger, right?
they have kids at a young age. The fact that you didn't have a, probably something that you were
Both.
both
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
both.
Which is very common.
Yeah.
What about your goals that you said you had? Did you have those goals too, Mary?
No. So Randy was ready to find a wife, get married, settle down. I was more enamored with the idea of having a partner. I guess I wanted to get married. No, I didn't want to get married. I wanted to be with someone and I wanted to identify my life with my life partner. I didn't really necessarily think about children and a wedding and
Businesses or anything like that?
no, I just wanted to find my person. I come from a family background where I had a lot of women in my family and not a lot of successful marriages.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, that unity was not really something that was really instilled in me. We just knew that we were like a really big, strong family, but there were not a lot of success stories.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything that I was really pursuing. Not because I didn't like the idea. It was just that I don't think it was important to me. Now, I did know, which was like the commitment for me for Randy, was that I did know that once I chose the father of my children, that was going to be the kicker, because coming from, you know, my parents' broken marriage and then knowing how I grew up, that mattered. And I was like,
Right.
listen, I can marry 7 times,
Yeah.
but the person that I choose to have my children with
Right.
will only be one.
Right. It's actually really primitive. I think women feel like that, and it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
Really?
Who do we have kids with? It's
Yeah.
we make that decision.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the most important decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Does your family culture gets involved? That hey, you sure you want to marry her? You sure to marry him? Or you should marry this guy? Or maybe I know someone's better over here. Is that in y'all cultures or back then at least?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is.
But I can answer this for us, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that Randy and I were both outliers in our family.
Oh, I see that.
Not black sheep, but we were just like,
Different.
we were different, and it didn't matter what they thought. I was still gonna do whatever I
wanted.
wanted.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
same for Randy. We were just the ones we were next level, like trying to do things different
From the beginning.
from the beginning. So
Pretty amazing.
We talked
it's
about that.
it's
Yeah.
almost like no, like there's no input that you will
No,
provide
that's
Yeah.
will be better than what I think
Yeah.
I need.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So we came back from your party. Honestly, I haven't met your family yet, but we met yours.
Yeah.
Great family. Your brothers are
Thank you.
awesome. Both brothers are awesome.
Thank you.
They're my family,
They're-
KB.
they're amazing. I'm sorry,
I know,
yeah.
I'm just
Well, that's how we, yeah. All right. So with that being said, you're different.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
can tell. I can tell you when you walk in a room, the way your presence, and you both of you, we're talking like, that's, by the way, that's for us too.
Yeah.
At least from my side of the family, I stand out. I always did. The woman I married. Who's
Yeah, I feel like you always stood out of your family. He was always like the black sheep.
Black
Like,
sheep.
he was like,
Orange
he
sheep.
was like,
and now even you're the pioneer. Of
I wasn't. Now I feel like I'm associated with you. But
It's a bad influence.
my
baby.
brother had that role. He
reflected.
was like the one that was like, I'm gonna follow my own path. Like I don't care about
Babe,
all you guys.
You pushed a lot of envelope. You're
Yeah,
the
I did.
First physician in your family. First who got a master's, let alone. Well,
I'm gonna have a doctorate.
I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm getting
Get
there.
this straight.
I'm getting there. I mean,
No, I mean I went to school in America. I was like the first one out of my entire family, like my mom and dad's side of the family.
well, your aunt was.
She's a physician from Pakistan, but I'm the first one that went to school in America. So yeah, I mean,
It's a big deal.
it's not like I came from a lineage of like, oh yeah, we've been here for generations and we all did this and that. No, this is
Right.
the first time. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do it. I was
Yeah.
just like, let's just
I'll
try this
try.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
just pass these exams in. So no, I just kept on going.
Well, I mean, we'll get into our next venture. You're even pushing the envelope with that too, right? I mean, that logo right there, you're gonna see that.
I am.
We're gonna announce that in a little bit. Yeah,
We
for the
are.
first
We're
time.
doing
So
it.
by the
Yeah, I
time the
think I needed
podcast
some.
gets
Yeah.
out,
Good for you
sorry,
guys.
a doctorate. I mixed up myself. I'm like, here this on the way back. You don't have a doctorate. What do you?
I'm like, I had a lot of student loans. Okay, did you forget about all
Don't
those?
forget about that.
Don't forget.
Guys, so we are husband and wife like y'all, 2 kids like y'all, busy, right? We're working on a business. We've done multiple projects before this, bought homes, sell homes. We moved. It's crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts, right? I know the areas that if I was to say, hey, Saima, this is the areas we should improve in, we sure agree with me too. With you guys, I seem like you guys have this things figured out to a T. I
Wish.
mean, is
You
it-
guys look like you're doing it on cruise control.
That's what I swear to you.
Yeah.
No bias. Is it not? Be honest. Is it now like that because systems are very important to you both, and you've been doing this for entrepreneurship thing for a minute? Have you gotten better, or is it really crazy behind the scenes?
It's sometimes crazy behind the scenes. Majority of the times it's crazy behind the scenes. I
It's
think
always
we do.
chaotic.
It's always chaotic.
Yeah.
It's just there's different levels of that chaos.
Okay.
I think
Do you enjoy the chaos?
yes.
We get a thrill
Are
out
you kind of
it.
addicted
It's
to
almost
it,
kind
like-
of
When it's boring, we're like we gotta figure something. We get into another
Yeah.
mess. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, what
Like,
am I doing?
What
Yeah.
what's yeah.
I think for us, it was really bad at the beginning. I think what changed for us and why I feel like it looks so flawless is because of our communication and how we work together. And I think that came from a lot of fights,
yeah.
of then figuring out, well, what's our role clarity? And we talk a lot about that even on our podcast, right? We say, what's the role clarity? All right. We run our marriage and our businesses like a business.
Yeah.
Where we say, okay, well, what are you doing and what am I doing? You take this on, I take this on, and we go. And that balance of power that I think we mentioned a little bit, sometimes Mary's in charge and I empower her to do that. And sometimes I'm in charge and she empowers me to do that.
You're okay with that? Be a man?
Yeah.
Dominican man from the Northeast?
That's the craziest part, right?
I'm the queen of the North, guys.
Look at Mary. Okay.
She's a boss lady.
I am 100% because I always told Mary, even when we started dating, that I don't need somebody that's on the passenger side. I need somebody that can take the wheel.
You wanted a strong woman.
Yeah.
You wanted that.
For the vision that I had for my life and how I wanted to grow, I didn't need somebody that can just be my ride or die, like you say, right? No, I needed somebody that can grab the wheel when I can't.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what we stuck in my mind. So for
And
marriage,
that
it's always
didn't
been-
intimidate you. That
Not at
just
all.
that's what you wanted.
Not at all. That's what I wanted, and that's what I knew that I had to add. And from the very beginning, we were very clear on like, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. And you know, the boat, you know, sinks without us, right? And there is no captain. It's kind of like Mary says it. We're in a round table.
Yeah.
Right? There is no head of the table for us, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes I have to be strong and be the lead.
Yeah.
Sometimes she does, but we have our roles, so I'm comfortable in that.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, it hasn't always been easy. Like Randy said, it doesn't mean that we do not argue and
Right.
disagree.
Yeah.
We just argue better. Our arguments are more, like the language, the way that.
Was it crazy one time with us yelling and screaming at one time?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because we had.
Yeah, pretty bad. Yeah. It was
Yeah,
pretty bad.
it was really bad. I told you guys, we almost separated.
We almost separated twice.
Twice. One, we kind of separated.
We did.
Yeah. And there were like blessings in disguise because sometimes, you know, our lives have been merged so early. We never really had that courtship.
Yeah.
We went all in
Yeah.
right away and it
Had
was
a baby
really,
quickly and had a family quickly.
and then we just
Children
had a
change
lot of
things.
big deals happening, and not like a big deal. I mean, like we had a lot of like life changes happen to us back to back, and we just time caught up with us, and we were just overwhelmed with all these new responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Like, what happens when you have a task where you feel like the other one's not going to be able to do it to my standard? So you're like, okay, let me just, you know, he wants to do this, but I just feel like I could do it better, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Good question. Wanna answer that?
It's about role clarity. So there are certain things that I would not even go into Randy's territory.
Yeah.
But I could navigate in those waters and like BS my way through it, you know?
Yeah.
But there's definitely things that I leave 100% up to him. But when he's spilling into my territory, I am very territorial. I'm like, no, just don't, please. Like, I get very nervous and I start to micromanage and ask a lot of annoying questions. And it's almost like I don't trust him. I do. I just not sure if he can do it as good as I can.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to take away from his input because it is diversity.
Can you
of
give us
thought.
an example of something? Is it like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can. Well, first, let me answer that question. I'm a bit different than she is. I think I've gotten comfortable with that failure is good in a lot of terms. So sometimes I tell her, you know, I tell myself, she might not do this as good as I will, but she's going to learn from it. And it's going to make us better because maybe I won't be able to do that all the time.
yeah.
So that I feel comfortable with, like, well, we might lose a couple $1,000, but it's
Learning experience.
It's an expensive learning experience.
Yeah.
Funny you said that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, an example of it is, let's say our car rental business, right? Mary runs the whole thing. She runs the operation side of it. She does everything. Like, I'm literally just figure out what's the next car that we're gonna buy, and she figures out the rest, right? And sometimes I get into her space, right, in terms of the operation side, and she gets a little territorial, like, no, we can't do that with this customer because then this, that, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, just tell me what you need me to do, right? And then I step back versus telling her what to do. I just like say, okay, well, what do you need me to do, right? Because if not, you know.
Do you ever say like, I know more because I do the operation side of it?
No. Before, not always. I feel like I'm on my mercy journey. So I look at everything with mercy, and by mercy I mean very compassionate now, and I'm very careful with my words. There's so many ways that we can communicate, and we can still work together. It's just depends on what kind of words you use and your tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
key.
Yeah, I mean, the couples therapy will after all that
We'll
money
do
or
that, yeah.
we'll do something. I feel that when, you know, and
Yeah.
you just,
You start with I feel.
It's the right
I feel.
tones. It's the
Yeah.
right tones. And we've done a lot of studying, a lot of books. So one of the books that really helped us is Radical Candor. I
Absolutely.
don't know if you guys have read that one yet.
You should.
Radical Candor by Kim Scott. We live by that in terms of how our relationship and our business. It's what's the right term?
It's providing feedback from a place of care. So, if, for example,
But being very candor.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Samantha, I really care about you, right? And it's the reason why I'm going to tell you this. Last time I heard you speak on the conference call, I heard a lot of and transition words that didn't really, they're not up to par. It sounded like you were dumb. Therefore,
Very
because
direct.
I love you, I want you to work on these areas.
Because I care
And it can
about
be
you.
very
Because I care
harsh.
about your development. Because I care about your, so we've adapted that into sort of how we communicate.
Yeah.
And I think it helps because it allows me to be very direct because I'm a very direct person.
Yeah.
But she knows that it's coming from a place of compassion and a place of.
So
I
you're
care.
more direct than she is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He has a sandwich here for me still. I know it's coming, but like, and when he starts dancing around his words, I'm like, just say it. Like, just get to the point. Like, what did I
I'm
do?
super direct. Yeah.
And I still get offended sometimes. I don't take negative feedback very well.
Yeah.
I still get very catty, but I know that it's coming from a place of good, and I always come to my senses and understand it.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Did you guys do marriage counseling?
We did. Yeah.
How long?
Not long ago.
On and off a couple times, maybe a couple months on and off. Yeah.
It helped.
It helped. It
Do you
helped.
recommend my couple audience that are working together? Name just a couple that are facing some challenges. Would you recommend it?
I would, if you go in there with a purpose and a goal
Okay.
of what you're trying to
You
accomplish.
have to have a purpose.
You have to have a purpose.
Leave with purpose.
Yeah. So I think if you show up to therapy with a purpose of what you're trying to achieve, I think that's valuable for everybody.
Interesting. That's awesome. Yeah, I think we are getting better, but we have our ups and downs and communication. And I
I think new events also trigger things, right? Like when
Yeah.
you're going through something for the first time in your life and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. These waters are all new to us.
Yeah.
Or when you're questioning like
Yeah.
this decision that you've made, a really big decision that you've made together after much thought, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I hope this is a good decision.
Yeah.
It's just stressful,
It is stressful. And I think that also, I want to say that sometimes language gets complicated. And sometimes we just have to say, hey, let's have dinner at 7. Like a clear text. Let's have dinner at 7.
be very
Rather than, hey, are you free tonight? Wait for the text. Yeah? Okay, cool. Do you want to grab some food?
Yeah.
Just be
Front
very
of the
direct.
text.
Yeah.
Just be more direct. And I think that has helped us kind of cut to the chase. And also, for example, what you guys are navigating, and every time we have something new that we're embarking, there is a fear of failure. But I think that once you kind of like leave the elephant there and you're like, I understand that I am scared, but I still need to take a step forward.
Right.
Like, don't try to mask fear
Yeah.
and not talk about it, because
It's there.
he may be scared too.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
With that being said, I mean, we have Phil, 10 minutes more? Awesome. What are we working on before I get into how motors and
So Herm and I are opening a med spa in Lake Nona. We will be open November 1st. And
Congrats.
it's been, I don't know, over a year in the making. It's been so much work, so much anxiety, so much fear. But we are also so excited. We've been pouring in like all of our time and effort and our energy into it. And we're super excited. I have been training in aesthetics and wellness for over like a year and a half, 2 years. I love this industry. I am so excited to be in it, like firsthand, like get my hands wet and just want to be the best provider for my patients and just, take it to the next level.
Love that. Congratulations.
We love that for you
Cheers to that.
guys.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you. Clients,
Yes.
by the way.
Thank you.
patient.
What's
Patients,
the
clients,
name of it?
friends.
NUR Med Spa and Wellness.
Love it.
Yeah.
The idea came about a year and a half ago. Longer. Can I share a story?
Definitely longer.
Okay, so I'll share a story.
Yeah.
So my mother-in-law has been a big influence in our life, right? For me to go to school, to
Yeah.
marry her. It was a great thing she said to me. But for about 5-6 years from now, she's been just telling us both like, hey, we're looking for we've been looking to do a business for like a long time. Maybe we do a dry cleaning, maybe a gas station, maybe open a rehab, doctor's office for her, real estate brokerage for me.
Right.
But something my mother-in-law was always saying in the back, hey, aesthetics. I'm like, oh, why don't we do aesthetics? She said, oh, babe, this one person I know down the road did it and didn't work out for them. There's no money in there.
Yeah.
And again, this is something for my audience to know. Just because someone said that they didn't work for them, don't stop there. Do your research. Ask 10 other people. Because just because that person didn't do it, could be a lot of variable why that person failed.
Right.
Right.
Case in point.
Yeah.
So shout out to my mother-in-law for putting this idea in our head, and especially for you.
I mean, she's been telling me to do it since, our kids were born. And I was like, there's too much going on in our lives right now. Being a mother when you're actually physically giving birth to a child and raising the child, those first couple of years, you don't know what's hit you. You're like, everything is crazy, right? And I had a full-time job at that time. And so once everything else kind of cleared down, I was like, I want to provide value to my patients, my clients, my friends, whoever they are. I want them to be my family. Like, I want you to come and be like, I want to see you, and it's mine. And I'm going to make you feel good about yourself. You're going to leave feeling great.
Yeah.
And when you're feeling great, you're going to look great. You're going to feel great. You're going to do great. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, you're going to do great.
Yeah.
Whether you're a mother, whether you're a businesswoman, whatever you're doing, you're going to be great at it too. And
men too. Men do.
Men too.
are open,
Yes.
Men are very open, and
Of course,
of
men
course,
and women.
my model's sitting right in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to tell them what the division of work we do? Will you be doing the medical part of it, right?
Yeah, we'll be providing aesthetics and wellness.
Okay.
We'll be doing radio frequency microneedling with Morpheus. We're going to do injectables with Botox and fillers. We're going to be doing peptides, hormones, IV therapy. We're going to have a lot of stuff.
And you'll be handling the front end. I'll be the back end, right?
Right. You're my business partner, so you'll be doing all the marketing,
branding,
and operations, and all the
So-
fun stuff
All the
that comes
heavy
with it. Yeah. All the heavy
And
lifting,
you go
right?
home after that, and you have 2 kids running around.
Exactly.
And, you have family, and you want to eat here, and she wants to eat there, and then but that's life.
Yeah.
So awesome. So, good
Congrats,
stuff,
guys.
Saima.
Congrats.
Really,
you.
congrats.
I think being in a setting where you're with other people that are like in the same mindset is what is the key. Like I think you had sent me a podcast or something about it. Like if you just change your reference with who you're with, 100%. That is what gets you to your goal, So you have to surround yourself with people that are just, whatever they are, they're doing the best of it, and they're continuously trying to achieve more.
Yeah.
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 And it's just,
I
it's
love
like
that.
a high. I think it's like an energy that just
Yeah,
goes
yeah, it
through.
rubs off.
I'll give
Yeah.
you guys an example. Law of attraction. You guys, we did the dinner a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys walked in. I knew about you guys pretty much, and we talked. We ran it in Publix and stuff. But like after meeting y'all, especially for her, she's like, "Wait a minute, a woman entrepreneur."
Yeah.
No.
I love that.
She was like, "Oh
love
my
it."
God. Like, she's like, oh, they're such amazing shape. 2 daughters. Like we will say, well, I'm not in good shape, but I have 2 daughters. No, don't look at them. Right? The excuses go out.
Guys,
the
they
door.
wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes,
4
a.m.
o'clock in the morning.
Don't remind me. I gotta get up soon.
So you guys played a bit. So we manifested
Awesome.
this friendship with y'all, and you guys have been a big inspiration.
I don't know how you feel, Mary, but I'm always like, where are the women that talk about business? Like, where are they?
I don't look for them anymore.
Do they not exist?
I don't
like,
think so. I even told them, like, we should come up with an app like Bumble for women, successful
I
women.
found
Yeah.
Like, something.
recently.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
But it's almost like it almost seems presumptuous to ask. So it's almost like when you do have chemistry with somebody that has like-minded lifestyles and visions, it really is a blessing because it can be a very small world. And like I said to you guys, like it's just Randy and I. And sometimes, you know, I just want to talk to a girl.
Yeah.
I just want to like cry a little. Like,
Yeah. Like, oh my God, I hate this. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Or like, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, just venting. Yeah.
yeah. So
really
I'm
important.
so happy to have found you.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, no, we love you guys. So I introduced a lady, a very nice female, Boca Raton, and she does coaching for women entrepreneurs. So I thought of both of you. But I have an idea for both of you. So we'll talk about it off record. For both of you to lead maybe something here in Central Florida. That's
awesome.
I think it's a great market, and I think you guys do.
We could start in Lake
together.
Nona. I mean,
Lake
I'm sure
Nona.
there's a lot out there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you're an amazing business. So back to my audience, the Lamborghini, the Mercedes-Benz that I rented, and probably going to rent a Ferrari soon. What
Please.
do you guys? What's the name of the business?
It's How Motors.
Okay. When did it come to fruition? What year was it?
2019. Mid to late 2019.
April.
Yeah, April of 2019.
How did it come?
It came out of nowhere. I think I tell everybody the story. I was ready to get a car. You know, we weren't financially there. Like my lease was up. I had a Nissan Altima, which I love, by the way. But I was just ready to get my favorite car that I've always wanted, which was a BMW M6. And I said, Mary, I'm ready to do that. And then we started looking for the
From
car.
an Altima to an M6.
Yeah, it's just I was ready. Like it was just mentally like,
Love it.
okay, we bought all the baby stuff. Like I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then Mary was like, well, we can't afford that right now. And I was like, okay, well, let me go back to the drawing board. How am I going to convince her to do that?
Yeah.
So I started doing my research. How can I, whatever. I ran into, I had heard about the Turo app and so on. And then I was like, I started doing my research and looking into it. And I was like, okay, I did my math. I did all the stuff that I need to do to visually line it up for Mary to get her okay on decisions.
Yeah.
And then so let's try this out. I mean, we have rental properties right now. We understand how to manage the rental. This is part of me convincing her.
Yeah.
So it's, it's the same thing. It's just for cars. And she was like, okay, cool. I'm open to it. Let's explore it. So we did. We bought a car. We went to the dealer. As we're in the dealer, my mind is going and I'm like uploading our profile on Turo and uploading the car. We haven't signed the papers yet. And I'm uploading the car. We do that. We leave. As we're driving home, the car gets booked.
Wow.
And I was like, Mary, it got booked. What the hell do we do now? Right? We didn't even have a business plan. We didn't have anything. We were just kind of like,
know how to use the
we didn't even know
app.
how to use the app. We were just like, oh my God.
We're like, what?
We go through like, we put up we had a Nissan Rogue. We put up the car too. And then like 2 weeks later, everything started getting booked, the cars. And we were just like, wait a minute, hold on. And Mary was like, you know what? I want to go get my car now at this point. If this is the case, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's do it. So we bought a Mercedes.
No, that
and
was the GLE.
the GLE, yeah. So now we have 3 cars. And I'm like, okay, things are getting booked. Things are getting rented. I was like, this could be a real thing at that point. Then I started to come up with our business plan, what this could look like, how we can structure it, what are our next cars. I really started to dive into it. And at that point, I think after those 3 cars, it became sort of a real thing for us. We really started our LLC. We started the business.
So you don't even
venture.
have the name at that time. You were just.
No, we were just operating.
We were just
as
operating
regular.
as Mary,
Yeah.
on the app. Yeah.
But then we created the name. How Motors is actually House of Wolves Motors. House
It's
of
an
Wolves.
acronym.
House of Wolves is our.
I saw it in your office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So House of Wolves is our main brand. That's our property management company. Everything funnels into House of Wolves.
I like that.
So we're House of Wolves. We have a How Media. We have everything like that.
We
so
have How Apparel.
How Apparel. So everything
Amazing.
funnels into House of Wolves. And we named it that. Mary came up with the name. And next thing you know, we got logos. We got a branding strategy. We got a marketing strategy. We developed our website. And then
How
we're here
quick
today.
did this happen? Like 3 months, 6 months, a year?
6 months.
6 months.
I want to say. And then
Okay.
the pandemic arrived.
Then the pandemic came, and that we went from growing like this to all the way down. And then at that point, we felt like we were starting to hit stride with what our strategy was.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and COVID
Yeah.
knocked us down completely, right? Everybody shut us down. And then we're like, okay, we need to figure out how to stay alive.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
had to shift our strategy. And then post-pandemic, we shifted our strategy again and kind of kept developing and growing.
Pivot.
Yeah, we kept pivoting
Yeah.
to just stay alive and to stay relevant. But we kept growing, and now we own a couple Lamborghinis and Ferrari, and we're at a good place where we're like, okay, we know what are the right vehicles.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? We got a steady state of clients that are coming in. We had a brand, so we're at a good place now.
I love the brand. I
Yeah.
love the brand. We both love your social
Amazing.
media.
Thank you.
We follow it very closely. My brother-in-law.
I mean, I
Billy.
found them. So.
Thank you.
You did. Yeah,
I did.
This is your doing. This
You
is your
know,
doing.
my Brooklyn friend now know you guys. They didn't met you guys. They know everything
Yeah.
about you, by the way.
Awesome.
My friend Omar probably watched this. He's like, dude, you have to meet Randy and Mary when you get there. But yeah, like your cars are amazing.
Thank you.
The service you provided me and my brother-in-law was just like no other.
Awesome.
I did tour a bunch of times before, but you know, it's a different type of class of people you're working with, right?
Yeah.
Expensive cars. I like to quantify things. So we started with one car in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
How many cars do you have right now?
Right now we have 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
Well,
But this
No,
is
2019.
no, this is actually low. So we got up to 24 cars at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2019, I'm sorry, thank
Yeah,
you. Correct.
2019.
2019 is the first car.
Yep.
Yeah.
I met you in 2021. That's why I messed it up. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2019 up to
In
now,
COVID.
what's the maximum amount of cars you had so far?
24.
We had 24 at one time. We were managing 24
Did you guys have
cars.
like a warehouse? Like where?
It was
all
messy.
over the place. It was messy.
all over
So
the
we
place.
ended up when we decided to expand the business. Instead of getting a commercial space, I don't know, Randy's mind works very weird sometimes. The house next to us was being built, and it was an inventory home in Laurier Park. And I was like, Mary, why don't we buy that house instead of trying to buy? And we
Lease a commercial
We lease a,
space.
and then we use that
Driveway.
We use the garage, and we use that as like our home office.
Okay.
As a house and so on. And we ended up doing that. We
Okay.
ended up buying the house, and we were using both houses to house the cars. And it was
We're like paying touches.
You
with
were
the
paying
garages.
touches with the garages, which car goes where.
Move out, move in, move
yeah,
in.
move out, move in. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
It's a
but
lot of cars to keep
It
track
was a lot of
of.
cars to keep track of, but luckily we had most of them on the road. We
Yeah.
do all the
That's
time,
true.
We
right?
had a
Which is good.
team,
had a team.
back in 2021, thankfully, after
Yeah.
everything got,
I met one of the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we have software, our CRM to track everything. It was really exciting times, but then we also found that we necessarily didn't want to continue to grow the business because it was really hectic. When you own a business, you're on all the time. And often on the weekends, when you think you're going to be with your family and relaxing, Netflix and chill, it is not happening. You're either sleeping because you need the rest, or you're probably planning for Monday or taking care of things that you couldn't do
Issues that
during the week.
Yeah.
And we realized that we needed a little bit more balance. And we decided to upgrade our fleet, but consolidated to a very well curated list of vehicles that, non-touche, but should another pandemic hit, we would absolutely not hate our lives getting stuck with these cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's like
yeah.
our mentality now. Like
Yeah.
Preparing.
Well, we shift. I think at one point in the business when we had 24 cars and we were dedicating so much time to a team and to the work. We still have a team, but to the amount of work that we were doing with the cars, and it became all about Hot Motors. The our real estate portfolio and the inventory that we have there started to take a hit, right?
Right.
Because we just didn't have time.
To-
There's so many other stuff that we want to do, and we've
Yeah.
been trying to do other businesses we want to start that we just didn't have the time for.
Yeah.
And I think what Mary and I noticed is that, we're really not the type of people that are going to say, this is our one business and that's it. Like we're serial entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And we like the chaos. We
Yeah.
like to build.
Yeah.
We like
yeah.
to build and to see if we can challenge ourselves and do something different. So there's so
Did you
many
guys get
different
kind
avenues.
of bored at some point? Or no?
We didn't see that as this is the rest of our lives.
No, and it's not about getting bored. It's also that our eyes now are open to opportunity. It's like a different lens that
Yeah.
opens, and it's almost like now we can sit one out. It's
Right.
almost like it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's hard to not try.
We had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to, it's kind of like a little insatiable, and we kind of go through our SWOT analysis of like, okay, is this a crazy idea or is this something real viable?
Right.
And once we identify that, hey, how does this how does this fit in our big puzzle,
Yeah.
our big vision?
Big vision.
Does this complement any of our businesses? How can we, you know what I mean? Like, it just has to make sense. And that's kind of how we operate. We
Yeah.
really wouldn't embark into anything that doesn't really necessarily fit our big picture, because our big picture is not chaos. And our big
Yeah.
picture means, sustainable businesses with eventually passive income, which
Yeah.
right now is not passive because we're very much
You're working in
it.
it. Yeah.
You're both
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
But the goal is eventually to break out of that. We're actually getting close to time, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, cool. Well, I got the notification. We're good to go. You have to go to sleep soon. You got both have
Yeah,
to.
I'm about to fall asleep on the
We'll wrap it up
podcast.
soon.
I'm about to take a nap before I go home.
Anything you want to ask?
I mean, I had so many questions about the whole business, you know, like you said, like looking at it from a different lens, right? That's like when you grow and you're like, how do you guys feel about taking new adventures when you're like, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but like, that does sound really good. Like, how do you differentiate between going forward, investing money, putting in time, effort, and energy versus like, should we wait this out? Like, has this stuff happened to you in your, you know, your business ventures before where you've waited stuff out and you've lost on it? And you're like,
Sorry to jump in. You hit on it before when you said that when you met him, he had so many great ideas.
yeah.
There's been so many conversations that Mary and I have where we've had these conversations about an idea and we didn't move forward on it. And 3-4 years down the road, it's like, oh my God, we should have done that.
Yeah.
Like we and her have always thought about, you know what, when we think of something, we're probably headed in the right path. What's held us back is the fact that nobody else is doing that or that we're not seeing it or the research is not there. But I'm like, what? That doesn't necessarily mean that we have the wrong idea. And doesn't mean that, you know, so now we kind of go a little bit with research, but also our gut.
Yeah.
Like, does this feel right? And do we feel like it fits within our brand and our overall picture? Well, we know how to grow a business and we've done it before. We can probably do this again. We just have to figure out the right systems and the right tools.
Do you guys have anybody you ever go to for advice or
Counsel?
anybody? Like, no.
That's
There's no mentor. There's nobody you go
Hire
ask.
a mentor, maybe?
How do you hire a mentor? It's almost kind of like
We've thought about it.
we feel that is probably our weakness as a team. It's kind of like we are just as smart as both of us put together.
Yeah.
And we don't really have someone to kind of shine light on and provide guidance on, hey guys, all you need is a little nudge this way, I think.
We've thought about it.
We've thought about it.
I think it's a great idea. I want to get one for us too, but
Yeah. But I feel with that is like such a chemistry. I feel our information, I feel like I'm more open now, but I'm very conservative and very territorial and very, not secretive, I just don't open up very well. And I also feel like I don't like sharing my ideas because I think they're mine and they're not meant to be shared forward. Because you never know if someone comes with like ill intent, you know what I mean? And I know NDAs exist, but still.
I think the type of mentor I'm looking at is to say, hey, the business is up and running, it's doing good, but kind of look at the blueprint and say, hey, Mary, maybe you should do this and this, and Randy should do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because our shop is not even open yet, and it's our minds all over the place, and we have a consultant helping us and helped us a lot. But there's still so much I wish someone could say, hey, like in school, hey, to solve X, you do.
Yeah.
So.
But like a mentor, like someone who's been in the game with multiple businesses. in their
And failed.
You know, failed,
And
they
failed.
made money, they lost money, whatever, you know.
That's important.
And you just go up to them and be like, you know what? I don't know what to do. Should I expand? Should I decrease? Should I do this?
Yeah.
And
I'm
just
with you.
somebody sit there and be like, you know, if I were you,
Yeah.
I would do this,
100%.
you know?
100%.
'Cause
I think we
that's-
haven't found that right person yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
And
think
we
that's
also,
the chemistry piece for us.
the chemistry
Yeah.
piece. And I know there are clubs that we can join.
Yeah.
You know, there are clubs out there for what we're looking for. It's just also sometimes there's like a social anxiety over,
Sure.
Meeting people, yeah.
Are you socially? One of you has social anxiety, or both of you? The one's more outgoing. I can't tell yet.
I definitely have social anxiety, but I'm an extrovert. I don't know how that makes sense. I can talk to a stone. Like,
Yeah, Mary.
I'm very
Once you
fluid.
get Mary going,
He's gone.
Yeah.
she's gone. I don't know if it's social anxiety. I feel like I don't like people much.
Yeah.
He just keeps it real, okay?
I don't know. I think I'm so focused on what I'm doing
I can
Yeah.
tell.
and what I want to do
I can tell.
that it's nothing against other people and I say, jokingly that I
Yeah.
don't like people much.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have time. Like I enjoy my peace. I enjoy my time.
Yeah.
I enjoy my crazy thinking. So sometimes I just get to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend that time
Yeah.
there.
Probably. You tell me. This is what I think of myself. I'm unique.
Yeah.
Not many people. You can't put me. And I talked about her yesterday. This whole topic.
Yeah.
I go, babe. I have great set of friends all over. I'm popular, somewhat. But when you really get to know me, you can't put me in a category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same for you, I guess.
That's the same exact thing for me.
Yeah.
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 It's very hard I don't know. It's just very hard for me to.
And like, why give off like energy to like when you could do that time and energy into what you really want to do and grow whatever you're trying to grow, because you only have so many hours a day. Like, why go talk to random people and like you don't have time for that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I have my close friends, right? I have the people that I go to, like Victor's one guy, and I have the same group of friends that I've had since I was in high school, right? And
That
like,
speaks volume too.
and that is my team, right? For very different reasons.
yeah.
But
I have a question about this.
Yes. I
Yeah.
know
go ahead.
I have a
Hit me.
question.
Go ahead.
I know you go.
So you said you have the same friends as high school. Are they like you? Are they like
No.
hustlers, gunners?
There's one or two of them that are. They're all amazing people.
Yeah.
All very much like great parents.
Yeah.
Amazing parents.
Yeah.
They all are hard workers, right? So we have a lot of the same qualities.
Yeah.
In terms of like entrepreneurial mindset, not many of them, no. In terms of like thinking they can conquer all and do all,
Yeah.
no, not many.
Did any of your friends feel weird when you bought a Lambo? Were they like, "What are you doing buying a Lambo?" No.
No.
Never felt it.
Never felt it.
They won't say it to you, but she's right. You can kind of get a vibe. I'm very big into energy. We can
Yeah.
get person body language.
You felt like everybody was
Happy
in
for
your
you?
circle, in your
I never really,
Pay attention.
no, I never really came out with a Lambo. I personally, when people would visit, I would never open that one garage. And I never wanted anyone to take photos with our vehicles. I was very protective of our image because
you have social media.
Well, because we're running a business
running a
and our
business,
social
yeah.
media, and we also didn't want to appear as if we were boasting. So I was always very like I was suppressing my success to my circle because people would not understand, you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, they know you're successful when you keep on buying more cars, right? I mean, you're not like, okay, they keep buying more or
But
whatever.
we're broke millionaires.
That's right. I never got that until one time he put a post on there. This is why and I'm like, dude, I loved it. I love it.
No, I don't know. That's a good question that you asked. I think when I mentioned that group of friends, they've always treated me the same, which is
You
why
have a
I keep
good
them so
bunch.
close.
That's great.
They've never treated, and so different to Mary, and not to go into long-winded, but Mary had that transition where she went from, living in the Lower East Side to then this wealthy school, right, where everybody was wealthy. I had the opposite. I actually went from where I was living in a neighborhood where people had money. We didn't. And then I transitioned when I went to high school, and all my friends were on the same level as me. So it became, well, we only have $5. That's $5 for everybody. So I think we've grown up with that. And with my friends, it's if I have a Lambo, they have a Lambo kind of thing. Like it's all of ours kind of. So
That's really sweet.
That's awesome.
that group of
Yeah.
friends that I'm tight knit with, they'll never. We don't go to dinner and like I have to pay. Like even if they don't have money, they'll pay. Right? Like it's never a question about money. It's never a talk. It's never that type of conversation.
You don't talk about.
No, they still make fun of me like they made fun of me in high school. They still treat me the same. I'm the same old Randy, and I think that's why
That's
I keep them
sweet.
so close.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really important to keep
Yeah.
grounded.
Yeah.
That's great.
And as for me, I don't talk about the business at all to anybody, period. Because my friends do not own businesses. And I feel like it's just a part of me that they will never understand. It's almost kind of like when I became the first mom,
Yeah.
I became alienated, and I alienated everyone because I was mothering. That was my verb.
Mothering.
I was mothering. That's what I
Yeah.
was doing. No one could relate.
Yeah.
Until little by little, they all started having babies. I was like, oh, holy crap. This is what you went through? Okay. Now I'm on the same page with you. I completely get it why you couldn't make it to my birthday in New York, 2 hours away from your baby.
Yeah.
2 months into giving birth. I get it.
Yeah.
So I really feel that I don't really expose my entrepreneurship and my challenges with my friends,
I agree.
just to save everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also I don't want to open the gates to maybe any, not negativity, just I don't want the input.
So like somebody calls you up and says, "Oh, Mary, what did you do today?" What are you
No,
saying?
they know.
What are you gonna say?
Everyone, no.
Oh, I don't know. I baked some cookies. I wanted to go pick up the kids. Like, what?
I keep it very like superficial. I'm like, yeah, oh my God, it was crazy. The car's all booked. You can imagine. But then I leave it at that. Like,
Yeah.
I never go into like my highs and lows of the business. It's just,
Yeah.
I'll talk to him about the things that keep us connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have someone that you talk to besides him about your highs and lows?
She journals.
I have a feeling you don't. A little bit, I picked up on you.
Vanessa, Melina, Nurkan. Yeah, I have a set of friends, little trifecta that I have.
Yeah.
And I think each and one of them offers different perspective and values. So I feel that depending on what arena I need advice in, I can call one of those and
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get concrete
How about marriage?
advice.
Yeah.
A good friend, you go for marriage advice, both of you.
No.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
It's hard.
Mary and I have, again, paved our own, like, to the story of us, right?
Yeah.
4 or 5 weeks in, we were living together. 4 months, we were pregnant. 11 months later, we were married.
Everybody probably
5
think
months.
crazy.
5
Like, you're
months.
crazy people.
Look, 5, 6 months into us we bought a house. Like, we did everything within a year.
11 months.
11 months. So it's just a different experience than I
Yeah.
think what other people
Only
have
you
had.
two can understand that.
That we understand it, and
Yeah.
the fact that we have this business relationship on top of it, I think it's another level
Yeah.
of kind of another understanding that you have to unravel, right? Like I always tell people, it's one thing, like you said, right, to go to your job and then go home and have to deal with your husband and your wife, and
Yeah.
your spouse, right? But it's another thing to like be with him all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or have offices right next to
Have
each
offices
other,
right
right?
next to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
another level that's very hard to explain.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna figure that out very
Sure.
soon.
Yeah.
No, even right
You're
now.
right.
Like, I'll be honest with you. I told her the other day, I go, you know, the one person that gets me, my best friend is you.
That's really sweet.
And
Yeah.
it, you know, and,
Yeah.
and you hit me now. We've been together for so long. Like, she gets me.
Yeah.
She's
Yes.
been there. And it's so like I have my friend Omar and my friend Ramira, the Brooklyn boys of mine. We grew up together, and they're really good friends. I'm gonna see them tomorrow, and we grew up. They love her. Our family's very close.
Yeah.
But the way she understands me,
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
she knows my interests. She supports me. Like, I'm big in self-development, big fanboy of Patrick Bet-David, and she's like, go to the show, go,
Yeah.
God, get him to do an interview. Like, not many people understand me. I think that's the same with you guys.
Yeah,
In a way.
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like Randy says, like about going out and like being a little more social. And I almost feel the same way because sometimes when I do put myself out there and I want to do something silly, I was like, I fucking hate my life here. I want to go back home. Let's watch a movie. And sometimes I have like these like social anxieties because I'm like, nobody's as cool as you are, and I just
Yeah.
want to
Big
hang out with
thanks.
Randy.
Sweet.
Remember she said that.
Me.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what it is? Like we have our idiosyncrasies,
Of
and
course.
we can be in a room and we have inside jokes, and like he looks at me, I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
like, we're,
Yeah.
you know,
We
we
can
think
just
it's
look at each
funny.
other. And
I think
Yeah.
friendship is really important in a
In marriage.
marriage. Like you have to be good
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
100%.
it's you know, our culture really pushes for finance. Like
That's it.
you have to marry somebody who's financially settled.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like don't be on the journey with them. Make sure they're already there.
Yeah.
You know? And make sure you're well taken care of. I get it. You want somebody who does financially, but
100%.
like if you're not in a good friendship with him, to go to those day-to-day hurdles, those challenges, those days when the kids are driving you nuts or you're having an issue at work or whatever, like that's who you need, that
Yeah.
comfort.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
that partner.
I don't need that bank account. Like I need
Yeah.
that partner.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
You get the bank account together.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. You want to grow together. Mm-hmm.
I think the society's been like that, where the man is the provider and the man's the alpha. The man does everything, and you're at home taking care. And it's changing. And by the way, to each his own.
Yeah.
Right. I don't judge.
Sometimes it
anyone.
works for people.
Yeah,
You know,
it
I have a lot
does.
of friends who live life like that and
They
they're
do.
happy.
You know,
You know, they do
right.
live their life. Yeah.
When I talk about time with my friends, they look at me like, "What? She's what?"
He always jokes around. He's like, what if you do stay at home and take care of the kids and a housewife? I was like, I would shoot myself. Okay. I cannot do that, you know?
Back from dinner, I'm like, listen, what if I was to take care of every single thing and you have to worry about nothing but the finances and just you sit home and the kids and make sure the house is clean and everything, food? He's like, no, I can't.
What would that be like? What would that day look like?
Very busy.
It would be.
Wow. Yeah. What else has to talk to him? That was a great question. I'm so, first time interviewing.
I think I'm doing great.
You're crushing it.
You are.
I think we're a good team here. I like
I
this.
have a question
We should
for
do a
you.
part two.
Oh, you have a question for me? Oh, this is
Yeah,
great.
I have
Okay,
a
I'm so
question for
excited.
you.
Yeah.
What are you, or it's a two-part question. What are you most excited about embarking on this new journey? You're already on the journey, but officially November the 1st, which we cannot wait for. What are you most excited about? And what is your biggest fear?
What I'm most excited about is actually finally getting started. I feel like we have written everything down, thought of everything, put all these pieces together, and yet like we're not in it yet. You know what I mean? So finally just getting started, and you know, all these trainings have taken place. I've talked to so many people in this industry, you know. I have been a doctor for over 10 years now, you know, and I feel like I know how to connect with my clients and my patients, but I just want to finally do it in my space, in my realm, you know, and really develop those relationships. I'm really about relationships, and like I want someone to come into our office and feel like they know me. Like, oh, I know who I'm gonna go see, right? She's there, right?
Yeah.
And I wanna catch up on your family and your kids or your house or your life or whatever you're traveling or you have a wedding to go to. Like, I want you to come in and tell me about that, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of like, that's what I'm most excited about, is finally getting started. I have a ton of fears. So,
Of course.
you know, this has taken a lot of we've invested a lot of our time, energy, and money in this. So the fears, actually, there's no fear. Nothing is going to happen. We're just going to this is going to be amazing. This is going to be an amazing experience for us. And that's it. I think we're all excited. Me, him, our kids, like we're all excited.
Everyone was
That's
glad.
awesome. Good for you
Yeah,
guys.
this
Good
has
for
been
you
like
guys.
Mother involved.
my
They're very,
family, my
you know,
parents.
being our cheerleader for this whole thing.
Yeah.
We're very blessed to have that back support.
Yeah. I think it just took me a lot of time to leave corporate medicine, you know? Like I've been in corporate medicine for the last 10 years and I was like, it's time for me to be me. And
I love that.
And just allowing myself to be that, you
That's
know?
wonderful.
Yeah. Because, you know, you're always under somebody's realm and umbrella, you know? With corporate medicine, it's very different.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited. I think
That's a great question. Thank you.
We're excited. We're excited for you.
Thank you. We can't wait to have you guys there.
We'll be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For multiple different reasons. Models,
Yeah,
part
you
of
guys
our,
are
you
your
know,
models.
grand
Yeah.
opening.
We'll be there.
You guys
Grand
are
opening.
Best. You're the avatar for us, for Lake Nona, Laurier Park.
Yeah.
Amazing. You're both like beautiful.
I'll take all the services.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Trust me,
you
you'll be
guys
there, okay?
You guys are, like, you're definitely, like, for us, inspiration.
No,
Like, really
likewise.
are.
Likewise.
Yeah.
seriously.
Seriously. You
No,
guys
seriously,
really
like,
are.
yeah.
Like, we come back from after meeting, you guys like, wait a minute, like, okay, we should probably eat.
No, when you guys came over our house, I was like, why haven't we met
I
them
know.
earlier? Like,
So he's
Yeah,
tried.
I
It's
tried
me.
to-
he has tried.
It's me.
Randy is such a lone wolf.
Yes.
Like
Oh, I can
for
get it.
for someone to like infiltrate that barrier,
Yeah.
it is impossible. And then I feel bad because people like contact me and I'm like, I'm like talking, and then it was like, oh, so Randy, yeah.
Wait, is that why he came later?
No.
He was like, Mary, you go first.
I was really handling it.
I know.
No, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah, I'm a lone wolf. I like my time.
Yeah.
I got you.
I like my
It's
time.
good to know who you are,
That's
you
it.
know?
And become
And
We
Yeah.
that,
don't have a lot of time together.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we do wake up early. We go to sleep early.
Yeah.
We're
And you guys have
sleeping.
families too. Like you have to
Yeah,
take your
like on the
parents are
weekends,
here,
we're
your
visiting
brothers,
family.
your family,
It's-
yeah.
Now all the way through January,
lot.
we have a birthday like every weekend.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to be. It's like the group of friends that I have or my family. Like I like to be
Yeah.
very dedicated to them when I'm with them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Present.
very present, right? So
Yeah.
I'm present when I'm with them. So if my friend flies down here from Jersey and he like stays a weekend, like
Yeah.
I'm
You're
not
with
doing
him.
anything else but being with him,
It's really sweet.
right? So
Yeah.
for me, it's like now when he's gone, I have to now focus
Catch
on
up.
everything, catch
Yeah.
up.
Catch up.
For me to add another thing to that list is kind
Yeah.
of like I don't really want to, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into.
So the relationships you have are really meaningful to you, and
Super
that's what
meaningful.
you devote
No new
yourself
friends.
into.
no
Except
new
you
friends.
guys.
No new friends.
Selective.
Very selective.
We got
That
it.
makes a
Woo!
lot of
Okay.
sense. Very selective.
That makes a lot of sense.
Very
The
selective.
club is
Yeah.
closed.
I like people who,
Quality over quantity. Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
if you knew me and you were there for me when, not
Yeah.
to say that but when I
Yeah.
had nothing.
Not the broke millionaire.
You're right. When I was really broke,
Yeah.
and you gave me a slice of pizza, that
Yeah.
I'll hold on to that for the rest of my life, right? So that's kind of where I come from. My family and my friends have always been there. So
That's really sweet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I guess before we get going, guys, do you guys believe in law of attraction at all?
we do. We do.
So do you have a
We
vision?
believe in manifesting things.
Manifesting.
Yeah, manifestation.
So
I believe in planning.
So you guys have a
We're
vision
big
board.
planners.
Big
We're big,
planners.
yeah, no, we're big planners.
Okay.
Huge planners.
But that's the big part of it. People
Yeah.
think law
Yeah.
of attraction, you sit there and say, oh, Lamborghini.
Yes.
That's going to come. It doesn't work like that.
No.
You have to put it out there.
How many years out do you guys plan?
5.
5.
Okay. That's the
Wow.
increments.
Okay. That's
That's
awesome.
another episode for you guys.
Yeah.
We do part 2. We have to
5.
do a part 2.
We do.
But I'll give you guys a little
Yeah.
sneak peek, and this is probably for another conversation. Maybe
Sure.
we can invite you guys over to our podcast.
Yeah.
Our podcast name is